This last point, this is what I did, and this blew up my arms in about 8 months. If you are struggling to grow your arms, especially as a taller guy, you're gonna wanna pay extra attention to this. I've been training for over 9 years now, and during my first few years, I struggled to grow my arms. If you do all these things that I'm gonna talk about in this video today, I can guarantee you your arms are gonna grow so much in the next few months. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. This might be basic to some of you, so it could be a good reminder, but you should be hitting your biceps and triceps twice per week. Anywhere between 10 to 20 hard working sets per week. So whatever workout split you follow, that workout split, you should be hitting your biceps twice per week and your triceps twice per week. On the lower end would be 10 hard working sets, and on the higher end, 20 hard working sets per week. So that's why a lot of people say the bro split is not optimal, because with the bro split, you're only hitting each muscle group once per week. This is a next basic one, but form, control, and full range of motion. The amount of times I've seen people in the gym that just have garbage form when they're doing their bicep curl or their skull crushers, or they're just rushing through your sets, and again, they're not getting full range of motion. So I'm going to show you a quick example of a bicep curl. Keeping the chest up, elbow stays down, up. I'm not swinging my torso. Control on the way down. Full range of motion. Don't worry, I've seen many people do bicep curls like this. Barely coming down, they're stopping here. Bro, you got to come all the way down. Make sure that elbow is fully lengthened. Up. Control on the way down and full range of motion. I don't want to say slowing down the weight, but just make sure you're controlling it. Controlling it does not necessarily mean it's slower. It really sucks that I have to say this one, but you need to be pushing yourself, bro. I'm a personal trainer. I've been training people for over 5 years now, and I've seen numerous people in the gym. No one likes to push themselves. I've even come across people who tell me, yeah bro, I push myself. And when I train with them, they're training to mild discomfort. Guys, if you're training to gain any sort of muscle, those last few reps, you shouldn't just feel a mild discomfort. You should be in pain. The thing is, there's many people who think they push themselves, but they're not really pushing themselves. So I don't know if it's because you have to build a higher pain tolerance. Maybe your pain tolerance is not there, so you have to work yourself up to pushing yourself. You might end up getting half the gains that you're really supposed to get. So I think it all comes down to being aware of how hard you're pushing yourself. So it comes down to reflecting and evaluate how hard you're training. Now that I think about it, this is why personal training exists. You have someone there to keep you accountable, someone to make sure you're pushing yourself. I do think for many people without a trainer, they just don't want to get to that point where they're really pushing themselves. So it actually hurts my brain that I have to talk about this one as well, but there needs to be some sort of progression in your training. I think for a lot of you, you're actually slowing down your progression if you don't push yourself week to week. You're not gonna progress if you don't push yourself. So a quick example here, I have 35-pound dumbbells. The thing is, there's so many ways to progress your training. You could progress your training by doing the same weight week to week, but doing more reps, or you could increase the weights. So I have 35-pound dumbbells here. Let's say this week I do 10 reps. 10 clean reps. Maybe the last 2 to 3 reps were a bit of a struggle. My next session, that might be next week or in 3 days. I go into the session feeling good. Instead of doing 35 pounds, I'm gonna shoot it up to 40 pounds. And I'm gonna get 6 to 8 reps. 2 weeks passes by. Oh yeah, I feel stronger. I'm gonna do 40 pounds, and instead of getting 6 to 8 reps, I'm gonna get 10 reps. If you're training to gain muscle, I would stick to either increasing the reps. Again, I wouldn't do any more than 15 reps, or I would increase the weight. I would say you don't want to rush your progression though, so I would be very calculated with how you're progressing. You don't want to overshoot. Yeah, you're supposed to progress, but you also don't want to overshoot how fast you're progressing. Like, let's be real. For most people, unless you're new into lifting, it's going to be very hard to progress week to week. So instead of progressing week to week, maybe you might progress every other week. And it also depends on how long you've been training for. Are you in a calorie surplus? I do think if you're in a small calorie surplus, it's going to be easier to progress. And if you're in a calorie deficit, it might be harder to progress because you're losing fat. So it all depends. Even on a calorie deficit, if you're not in a deep calorie deficit and you're also new into training, you're a bit overweight, I do think you can still progress. Someone like me, I'm very lean now. Let's say I go in a calorie deficit, I've been training for a while. It's going to be very hard for me to progress. I don't have much fat on me. Once you start doing all these things I just talked about, you've been doing these things for a few months and you're not getting any gains, this last point, this is what I did after a few years, and this blew up my arms in about 8 months. So what I did, instead of training my arms, my biceps and my triceps twice per week, I started training my biceps and my triceps 3 times a week. So I increased my frequency from twice a week to 3 times a week. And my arms blew up in 8 months. Holy shit, man, guys. I'm tall. I'm 6'3". I don't know if you all could tell on camera, but the first few years I struggled. Everything grew, but I felt like my arms were just lagging, and I guess it's because I have like really long arms. So there's only a couple workout splits where you could train your arms 3 times a week while making sure you're still getting to train every single muscle group with the right frequency, which is twice per week. By the way, I kept the volume the same. So let's say I did 20 sets per week. I split that volume into 3 sessions. So 20 sets for my biceps, 20 sets for my triceps. I split that into 3 sessions. So let's say one session I did 5 sets for my bicep, the other session I did 5 sets for my biceps again, and on that 3rd day I did 10 sets. But this can get tricky. You have to find the right workout split. I do think there's a couple workout splits that you could still do. I did an upper-lower split. An upper-lower split is usually 4 days a week. On the first upper body day, you hit some arms, then you have lower body, rest, upper again, you get to hit some arms again, lower. On that rest day, that's when you can hit the majority of your arm volume, so biceps and triceps, and rest. 7 days a week, you still get to hit all your other muscle groups, but you're able to hit your arms 3 times a week. Because on the 2 upper body days, you get to hit arms. So let's say I did 5 sets for biceps and triceps on one upper day. On the second upper body day, I get to hit 5 sets of biceps and triceps again. So that's 10 for biceps and triceps. And on that rest day closer to the end of the week, I get to hit the majority of my arm volume. So that would be 10 sets for biceps and triceps. Another split you can hit your arms 3 times a week would be a full body split. A full body split is usually 3 days a week. Every other day you're training full body. And on one of your rest days, because you have 4 rest days doing a full body split, assuming you're getting enough recovery, you gotta make sure you're getting recovery in between your arm sessions. On one of those rest days, you could hit arms again. So what I would do, let's say, because you're hitting full body 3 times a week, so you hit some arms on every other full body, and on one of your rest days, squeeze in the majority of your arm sets. Hopefully this video helped you out. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I have many videos on my channel that can help you out, and until next time, peace.